Welcome, everyone. We are live. It's Friday. It is. Now, today, deeper and higher. The deeper we go into ourselves, meaning you recognize that you exist, you recognize that you're here. You can recognize that. So, to go deeper in that means spending quality, quiet time where you're just in your thoughts, but not just in your thoughts willy nilly. The thoughts are focused. So you're talking to yourself, your inner self, you. If you got a problem and you think you can't fix it, you get in there and you speak. But what are your thoughts? What do you think the best course of action is? You got to help me out here. This is new for me. I don't even know if I believe this is real or not. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. But I'd like to know. I'd like to comprehend. I'd like to understand. What do we do about this right here, right now? Because I don't want to panic. I've always panicked, but that's never worked. So let's do this that's new. What do we do? And when you begin to focus on the solution, you're going to realize that every day, all that matters is what do you want to do? What do you want to experience? How do you want it to turn out? You might not know specifically, but if you look at where you are, so if you say, mm, I was just being barefoot. If you're barefooted, well, clearly the solution would be shoes. So when you're talking to yourself, you're not saying, well, I don't know what tea I should drink, but that's not your immediate problem. Stay focused. The thing that needs to be dealt with is always going to present itself right in front of your face every time. You don't have to go looking for it. So to go deeper, begin speaking to yourself on a daily basis. You don't even have to move your lips to speak. You can carry on a whole conversation, it's just within you. I trust this makes sense because this is how you get deeper. This is how you have a better comprehension of who you are, what you are capable of, because it gives you the opportunity to practice. It gives you the opportunity to practice recognizing your mood, your mental attitude that you're in. And when you recognize that, you already know what behavior you're going to do because you can see it. And then you get to decide, well, do I want to behave like that? I'm really working at changing here, man. I really got to put in this work. The moment you start speaking to yourself about these things, you will begin to get more clarity. But you have to start. It is irrelevant who thinks you're nuts. How do they know you're nuts? Hmm? How do they possibly know? They don't know your inner workings. So we're going to sit here and not get to know ourselves better because someone may perceive us as being crazy. So let me ask you this question. You want your life to carry on the way it is, or do you want to change? Your change has nothing to do with somebody other than yourself. See, when we talk about things like self love, it's not about, I'm going to soak in the tub, I'm going to get my nails did and get my mani pedi. Those are expressions, those are things that you do. But self love is the comprehension or the understanding that you, you have the ability to change just by simply applying the principles and recognizing where you are and then choosing where you would prefer to be instead and being persistent in that change. You see, because when you know that about yourself, that, shoot, I can change anything. Listen, in the beginning, it feels funny when you say it. Because our whole lives we were told we're at the mercy of cause and effect. But that is not the case. But how are you going to know it if you don't practice? If you don't spend time going deeper into that silence? Being in your own company so you can hear your own voice in your own head. Because truthfully, we're always speaking to ourselves. And the only conversation is an internal one. So self love has to do with the fact that you can see that you are valuable and that your worth does not come from the outside. It never will, and it never can. You will see it reflected on the outside, but that is not where it emerges from. And I know some of us have listened, some of us have been through the ringer, y'alls. I get it. But those are experiences. So when you remember those experiences, you've got two choices if you like. You can continue to allow that old experience to make you keep acting the same way, or you can identify that old behavior and tell yourself, wait a minute, what would it be like if I didn't do this anymore? How would my life be better? Well, I want to see that. And the moment you say, I want to see that, you start to get ideas of what it would be like when your life has changed. And when you start seeing how your life has changed in your mind's eye, you don't let anybody deter you from that. That is what self-love is. You see your life and you say, this will not do, girl. We have to be better. And that is where your focus is. You're not distracted left or right by anybody's opinions and how long they think it will take, or if they even think you could do it. That's not what you're doing. You don't let that pull you anymore. You are now in a position to tell yourself, meh, that's just their opinion. And everybody gives their opinion from their mental mood. So what mental mood am I in? So when you start doing that, you will go deeper. But the higher part now, because remember the roots. The roots burrow downward to anchor you into what you know. That the all is mind. The universe is a mental creation. You are seeing the contents of your own mind day in and day out. So they better be good ones, right? So that's the deeper part. But the higher part now, oh wow. The way you interact with others. As you start changing and maturing and becoming more self-disciplined, you begin to recognize certain things as you go through the world. And you realize, wait a minute, I don't have to bow or break under this kind of pressure. I can change what's going on out there if I change my perspective. Well, what perspective would I like to see in my immediate vicinity, in my sphere of influence? How would I like to see the people and the interactions? And you begin to see them at their best instead of, oh my God, you're never going to change. Why you always got to be that way? You will find the higher you get, petty things don't irk you anymore. Why not? Because you can see them for what they really are. They're not petty things as somebody's trying to, rile you up. You will recognize that everybody is in their own mood and they can only act according to their mood. And so then it is up to you now to decide whether you want that mood to influence you or do you want to hold fast to your own mood. You see, when you go higher, certain things just don't bother you anymore because you see them for what they are. They are simply projections of someone's inner attitude, inner mind. That's what you're looking at day in and day out. So the higher you go, you recognize these things. And then you get to a position where you remind yourself, wait a minute, I can do this. You see, this is what the practice requires. It is not something you do once today. Let me give you an example. I was looking for a new apartment. And so I started looking for a type of apartment. You say basement or lower level. And every day it would send me recommendations based upon what I had previously looked at. And I said, why does it keep doing this? Right? That's what I said. And of course, I heard myself say in my head, because you keep looking for that thing. So I said, fine. So I saw another style. I saw a main floor. I saw a house. I said, let me click on that one. And I clicked on it once to see what there was. And I was like, meh, whatever. I didn't really see anything on that first page. So I didn't click on anything. Following day, it sends me the same suggestions. And I was like, if I wanted to stop sending me these suggestions, I have to start looking at new things consistently. And would you know, I spent 3 days in a row, not even, I don't think, 2 days maybe. And then my suggestions the following day changed to match what I was looking at more. We call that a what? An algorithm. Why is it that we believe in the algorithm? That the algorithm will keep showing us what we keep looking at. Why do you believe that? But you don't believe the more I think about something, the more I experience it. Well, where do you think the foundation for the algorithm came from? The law of correspondence. As within, so without. What you keep looking at and thinking about and ruminating over and over and over again and remembering over and over again. You must keep experiencing it. So to change it, you have to change first what you are going to interact with. So what are you going to look at? What are you going to think about? What are you going to search? So when you start searching for things, now your suggestions, the more consistently you search for something, the algorithm hones in upon what you are looking for and makes suggestions based on that. But algorithms did not just turn up out of nowhere. The algorithm has been modeled after something because you and I already live that way. An algorithm is just a 3D expression to show you so you can put it into perspective that, oh my God, if I keep surfing these kinds of things, that's what's going to be in my timeline. Yes. So where's your other timeline now? The other timeline is your life, your experiences, your relationships, your jobs, your careers. That's the other timeline. So what do you spend your timeline looking at or doing? Are you complaining incessantly? Then will you realize that there's just more things to complain about? Listen, you and I are the original algorithm. Hello. The law. So don't think that the algorithm is something new and fandangled that scientists thought of. No, they didn't think of it. They just asked the question, what would it be like? Or what would we have to do? Or what do we want the user experience to be like? You see, everything starts with that question. So when they're programming things, they say, what do I want the user to experience? I want them to come to a place where they feel like their needs are being catered to. I want them to think that I am intuitive and helping them to go through something like I know them. I want them to feel like They're being listened to. That's what any developer does. It's called the user experience. You hear it, the user interface. Interface. The internal face, meaning what are the desires of that person who's clicking on something? Interface. What are the inner desires of that person? So that if I watch them and I show it to them, they go, oh my God, yes, that's exactly what I was looking for. Interface, your internal face. Your internal face is how you see yourself, how you speak about and to yourself. So be encouraged to know that the algorithm is only just mimicking the law. So if you understand nothing but what I say right here and right now, it is the same way your timeline is a match to you for what you're looking at. My timeline was on my timeline now. I stopped thinking about the mentalist and stopped watching it. So now I'll only see one suggestion for it. But because I was thinking about Bridgerton and watching that, oh, Jesus, give me strength. The timeline is littered with Bridgerton. So then I looked at um, the metaphysics, the Billy Carson, the whoever else is. Now the timeline is littered with that. So as I change, the outside changes. So if you look at what you are doing on the computer, use the law of correspondence and go, well, as above, so below. If I am the one thinking this above in my mind about this, well, then I'm going to see the expression of it in my timeline. And you know that is cold, hard fact because you're the one living it as you scroll through your timeline. So what I'm saying to you, well, as above, so below. Take your comprehension of what you surf and expand it upwards to remind yourself, okay, so what I think about, speak about, I will experience in the outside. And begin to watch it. And you'll see it because you see the evidence of it on your timeline, on the computer or your iPhone or your tablet. Do you not? So then begin to look for the evidence in your outside world. Pardon me. Begin to look for the evidence in your outside world as you pay attention to what you think about and focus upon. That is the key. You have it here. That's how one goes deeper and higher simultaneously. So we're not walking through life talking about, are we pretending? No, you don't have to pretend to change. You don't have to fake it. You need to answer the question, what would it be like if? What do I want to experience? You see, that is the difference between you, me, and think tanks and marketing people, marketing gurus. Do you know who they learn from? They learn from you. How? Because they're using the law of rhythm, habit. They are watching you because as a man thinketh, therefore he is. So the more they watch you, they begin to see your habits. And when they see your habits, that's how they can learn you before you know yourself. They can see your hidden habits based upon your behavior. That's why when you have these grocery shopping apps, because I know every Thursday I get new suggestions. And the new suggestions are always based on what? The shit I always buy. So they know how to offer the sales to me. They know what kind of discount based upon where I am in the month because remember, it comes out every week. So they compare week to week to week. Which one was purchased more? Which one was purchased less? So if this one was purchased less, let's put it on sale for this person. in her suggestions, and she'll buy it more. Do you see how the law of rhythm is used? You observe a man or a woman. Be careful, please. Be careful. We observe. So if you know that you are being observed the way you shop, right? Look at how you can do that for your life. Look at what you're doing week by week or day by day, and somehow keep track of it. So, you can write it down on a piece of paper. I did this. And then at the end of every week, what did you do more? Track the second week. What did you do more there? How do those 2 weeks compare? Did you do the same thing the same way both weeks? Look at the third week, then look at the fourth week. Then you will begin to see your inner habits. Then you will begin to see your patterns. That's the law of rhythm, the ebb and the flow in your life. What are you doing the same way every time? And if you look at that 4 weeks in comparison, you'll begin to see where you're living from your memories, from your past hurts. You'll begin to see it. Oh, Angela, I don't have time for that. Oh, I'll tell you a little secret. Make time for that. Make time for it, because that information, we keep talking about data mining and people stealing our information, but I don't think you comprehend what that means. If you and I would harvest our own data, you would learn to change your life, because you'd begin to see what's got you tripping up on a daily basis. You'd begin to see why you're doing the same thing the same way every time. You'd begin to see why you are annoyed by it. Then, most of all, you'd see how you want to change. Because look at data mining. They're using the information of your habits to quote unquote, I don't want to say target, but to hone your user experience. Because if they can predict your behavior, then they know how to polarize you. So use the law of correspondence. As above, so below. Somebody is looking at my data and my information and how I behave so that they can influence my behavior. That's what someone on the below is doing. So above, I will observe my behavior so I can change it to bring about a new life experience. Do you see now what the difference is? Instead of complaining about people harvesting your data, look at what it is. They read your rhythm, your pattern, your habits. So to use one law against another, or to use the higher against the lower, just in the scale. So if they can see your rhythm, your pattern, how would you change? How would you behave? Change what polarizes you. Because when you change what polarizes you, you change the rhythm. But how do you change what polarizes you? Change how you emotionally respond, which is the law of vibration, the movement, the way it makes you feel. And to change the way you feel, begin to examine what is on the inside. As within, so without. Well, how do you know what's within? Look at the thoughts, mentalism. So you see how you go backwards and forwards all the time. You can change your life. When they start harvesting data, it's just all of that information until they start to hone it and whittle it down. You have to do the same thing, because that's exactly what's happening on both sides. So don't complain that they're harvesting your data. Outthink by knowing that if you can disrupt your own pattern, now they have to learn you again. You don't remain predictable. You change your pattern so that you're less predictable. But the only way to do that is for you to be the one who is always growing and learning and maturing. This is how we go. "Whoa, okay, okay, okay. Okay, wait for it. Okay, let me put him in the closet. Hang on, y'all. Come, big boy. Let's go in the closet. Ooh, early for you, huh? Come, come. Oh, mommy's big boy. Good boy, good boy. It's okay, it's okay. Yeah, that's a good boy. Thank you for your patience with that brief interlude. um, but you see, I know his habit. I know his habit. I can plan my day around that, right? So what I'm telling you today, you are the one with the power. But if you don't know that you have it, that power is siphoned from you because the power has to be used. Either you will use it or someone will use it, but it has to be used because that is it. The law of vibration tells you that nothing stands still. Nothing stands still. Everything moves. So the power that is there has to be used. It cannot lie dormant. This is why I stress to you on a daily basis. You have to be the one to know your own mind. Here's how you do it. Every day, listen, you can have a Dollarama has little notebooks, right? Go and get a little notebook and a little pencil. And on Monday, on the top of the page, put your mood. What's your mood? How you feel? And you watch yourself throughout the day. What did you think of most? And you jot that because you'll know. You use one word. We don't use sentences here. One simple word. What did you think of most? Money. What did you think of most? Relationships. What did you think of most? Jobs. You hear what I'm saying? You just jot down what it is that you thought of most on Monday. Do the same thing on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Get it? So now, for that week, if you use different flashcards or blank pieces of paper for the days of the week, it'll make your life easy. So you'll group all of the Mondays together in a 4-week period, all the Tuesdays together, all the Wednesdays and Thursdays. Put the date on them so you know, right? So now you put all the Mondays together and you look at Mondays. What did you, because you just have one word written there on that down the sheet for the day. You know, they're different one word things. Which one word repeated itself every Monday? How many times did it do it on the Monday? And you write down that one word on its own sheet of paper because it's for the month now. All the Mondays, you should have 4 Mondays or 5, depending on where you are in the year. But you'll have 4 Mondays. Which recurring word showed up on Monday? That's your dormant. That's your dormant and hidden habit. Okay, now look at Tuesday. Which all the Tuesdays, which word showed up the most? Which one was repeated the most? Wednesday, same thing. Thursday, same thing. Which one? At the end of the month, what's the most predominant word you have? Now that's your habit. That's what's ruling you from the shadows. So in order to see what's in the shadows, you're going to have to look. So I know it may seem tedious. It may seem tedious to do it. But once you start doing it and you begin to comprehend yourself, you will see what you look like on paper. Remove the judgment from it. Seek to understand or comprehend that deeper part of you. So when you do it, you're like, wait, holy cow. So the whole month I thought about this, and now once you see what you've done the whole month, now you can see what your experiences for the whole month were like. I trust that this is making sense for you. I trust that it's making sense because I can hear Delight in the back of my head. Yes, Delight, I will put it together. If you are a member on my Patreon, I will do it. And to help you help yourself, because when one teaches, two learn. What do you think that this is stuff that I know how to do? No. This is stuff that I'm being taught on a daily basis. Why? Because I spend my time trying to figure shit out and figure out how I'm living my life so I can make it better. Now, I know that Neville Goddard says, just assume who and what you want to be. You don't have to change anything. I agree with that too. Totally, I agree with that. Of course. But you want to know who and what you are. And because we spend so much time on fast forward, we don't see who we are. But then I hear people say, um, good question, 21. It's another app, but it's an app that is behind a paywall so that the people who really want to know this information, like you could do 99 cents a month if you wanted to. And I post deeper content over there so people are more targeted for what they're doing. And this is one of those things. So that we learn, we grow, but as a group, but as an individual. I trust that answers your question. You don't have to, but if you DM me and you want to, I will help you. Don't worry about it. Um, this is what I'm saying to you. We keep saying all the time, our data is being harvested. And the only reason for that is to shape your experience. So if you can understand industry and technology is fueled by you. So what do you think your life is fueled by? You. That is why it's so important for us to observe ourselves so that when you begin to see, oh my God, I see my habit. Listen, when you see it, it will blow your mind. When you can see right there in either ink or pencil who you are on a page, oh, yes. Now you'll understand why the big dollars are in that information. Now you'll grasp. But you won't just see why there's a huge amount of money in that industry. You'll begin to see your own power. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? But think about it. If it's showing you that there's so much money in that industry of having your information, it translates to dollars and cents for them. But they're only turning power into dollars and cents. They're monetizing you. So if they're monetizing you, what are you doing with you? Do you comprehend how your energy is harvested now? So instead of having your energy harvested, why don't you harvest your own energy by knowing and understanding who you are so you can make better choices and change your life experiences? Instead of, oh my God, I was abandoned in life. Oh my God, I have so much trauma in my life. Yes, I know you have trauma in your life. Who doesn't? I'm not belittling your trauma. I'm saying to you, harness the energy from it. Do not let it control you anymore. You now learn to control yourself and not be ruled by your past. So you keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again, which will do what? Create your destiny. So you look at it and say, oh my God, look at my life. Do you want it to stay that way? Without seeing who and what you are, how will you decide to change? That's my point to you today. Going deeper and higher in knowing ourselves. Because it is when you know the self. This is why mentalism is number one. Mentalism. These are the laws I talk about day in and day out that govern us. Mentalism. Know yourself. That is the first principle. The first principle is self. Know it. Because correspondence, what is in the self is what you will experience. Why? Because what you know on the inside is moving always to the outside so you can see it. And it moves always the swing of the pendulum back and forth. You're moving from the inside to the outside, inside, outside. That's polarity. And so from the polarity of the thing, the way it moves, it creates a rhythm. And when you see that rhythm, that pattern, that habit, ooh, now it causes you to bring about an effect. And when that effect happens, it is projected, which is masculine, to project outward. You project it outward into the feminine womb of creation, and it comes back for you as an experience. Those are the 7 principles and how to use them on a daily basis. So when you find that once you start tracking yourself, you'll find that the more adept you get at it, you'll stop having to write it down, but you'll be able to see yourself because you're training yourself to see your own self. You're moving from the outside, which is how we are governed by our senses on the outside. You're moving from out there and you are retreating within so that you're not ruled by the outside because you understand you are the one creating the outside. So you're going to take your power back. That's how you do it. By living from the inside out, which means, what am I doing? Do I know what I'm doing? And when you start doing that, because you're practicing, you get to a Neville Goddard level that says you just know what you're thinking all the time and you can harness it right there and then. That's how you get there. You get and what do you do? Daily. This is when Paul in the scripture says, I die daily, which means the way I was, I don't want to be that anymore. So I stop being it. Tomorrow you get up, you do the same thing. You do the new. So, my beautiful friends, be encouraged to know that you have the power within you to change. You have the power within you to change. And because you have that power within you to change, you don't know that it's there. So I've got to remind you. I have to remind myself that it's there. Hello. When you see that it's there, how are you going to use that power now? How are you going to use it? Make that decision. Do you see what self-love is now? Becoming aware of your power and knowing how you want to use it. Oh, Lord. Ain't got nothing to do with a mani-pedi. Ain't got nothing to do with a bubble bath, honey. That's not self-love. To know oneself. Because when you know the self, you know what drives you. You know what inspires you, or, use the right word, what polarizes you. And when you know what polarizes you, you can see your habit. And when you can see your habit, I can now influence my behavior. By polarizing you, I can pull every string, every emotional string you have, if I know you. So if you know yourself, imagine what you can do with that information. So the encouragement, my beautiful friends, today, spend that time. Lord have mercy. Do you see how important and valuable you are? If you would see that for yourself, now you would understand why it is important for you to know yourself. That is self-love. Knowing yourself is self-love. Because when you know yourself, you can appreciate your skills and your power. And when you appreciate your skills and your power, you gain respect for them. You gain the confidence for them. But who are you gaining confidence and respect for? Oh, that's right. You. Self-love in action. Mm. Who's here today? Hey, 21. um, uh, Boubacar Diallo, I see you. Beloved Love Troll, Hilarion, I see you all here on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Hey, Wisdom Almighty, David Darling. Hello, son. Asanya, Checkmate, Sugar Visions, right here on YouTube. And who's here on Fanbase? Ursula, Afternoon Delight, Happy, Big Scale, Miss McQueen, Fawn, Oracle Treehouse, Flo Smiles, Joaquin. I won't keep you because I'm not sure if Joaquin is opening his room today, but I want to make room for that as well. Let's see. I'm just scrolling. I just want to make sure I'm catching the um, questions in the chat here. Delight, honey, I hear you. Let me see. Just making sure. There you go. I think I caught everything there. All right. So I trust that makes sense for you today. I will get into Patreon and do it there for those who really want to do it, and we can do it together. I'll get in there and do that. Um, for those of you who limit your social media exposure, it's okay. Send me a DM. If you want to partake in it, just send me a DM and I'll communicate with you via your email. Okay? Um, or if you want one-on-one coaching, just pop into my Linktree and you'll see how to access that information. This is so important, guys, that we truly get it. If you like I said, if you look at it and you see the amount of money that's being made in the industry, then that is a reflection of your power. It is a reflection of your power. And now that you know what is happening, you will recognize where the law is being used. And then you will apply the law to change your situation. You and I have it within us to do this. Because if we pay attention, we can see that we're deliberately, unwittingly, creating our lives. That seems like a paradoxical statement, doesn't it? Even though you are like, if you don't see what you're doing, right? If you don't see how those thoughts are connected to your outer experiences, because people would say to you, well, I don't believe you. I don't think I wouldn't have done that to myself. That's not true. Really? If you track it on paper, who are you going to argue with then when you see it? Because you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't there. So that's why you take the time to do it. And that's why I said simple words. This is not sentence writing. Let's not. Simple words. Why do you think emojicons came back? To simplify words. Use an image to convey the word. You can put many images together and create a whole sentence. Fancy that. Where did that come from? The law, man. Come on. So when you jot it down on the paper, just like that, you could put a dollar sign for money. What else can you put? What other images can you put in there? If you found that your predominant mood was sad, you can draw a little cloud and put rain falling out of it. How many of those are you going to see? And at the end of the week, what's the predominant one? And you'll begin to see how your internal environment and conversations, what you think that you whisper to yourself and nobody hears, you'll begin to see that it's pretty loud, isn't it? See, we can change. And we're not just putting in idle work because we want to look at what our problems are. No, you want to look for the predominant thought pattern. If you look for the predominant thought pattern, you will discover the problem. So don't fix the problem, change the predominant thought pattern. And the experience or the problem will change itself. That's why we do the exercise. We don't do the exercise to browbeat ourselves and feel guilty and feel bad. You ain't nobody got time for that. It's not why you do it. You do it because you want to see yourself so you can see your predominant thoughts, thereby predicting your predominant behaviors. See yourself on paper. Right? You just have to be willing to do it. You've got to be willing to commit. And I know some of you type A people out there, shoot, you already got the Excel spreadsheet set up. Lord, no. I'm a simple being. Just give me pencil and paper. But I understand how that analytical mind works, where you streamline a process. I get you. But you see what you learn about yourself? Now, the next time you have if you're giving an interview to someone, now you know who you're looking at. You know who you're looking at across from you in that interview. Whether you're the interviewer or the interviewee, you know who you're looking at now. Now you know how to create your cover letter or your resume because you know yourself. It is much far reaching than you think it is. Right? Now you begin to understand if you can apply the principles, you can be in any position, any managerial role, because you know how to comprehend human behavior. Because how did you learn? You learn from the best teacher there is, the one in the mirror. You see what I'm telling you about yourself now? The next time you look in that mirror, listen, we're not just checking our edges and our sideburns and our mustache and our lashes. That's not what we're looking for. Sure, that's nice too, but when we gaze into the mirror, we're looking for ourselves. And so because we have to leave the mirror in the bathroom, the world is now your mirror when you go outside. How are you behaving in it? Well, you'll see your actions, won't you? So be invigorated this morning as I am. I'm fired up, y'all. I better use that energy to pack. Anywho, I digress. Let's get the bowl out. You might get bird song. I don't know. But when you hear the bowl this morning, begin to recognize that knowledge of self is where the power is. Mentalism. Knowledge of self. Begin to see that that's where your power is. When you know you recreate you. That's what you're doing day in and day out. Do you understand? So as you hear the bowl this morning, rest in the peace of that. Holy cow, I want to know myself. And when you know yourself, how can you not love yourself? Because you'll see that you've just been in a state and you didn't even know. But now you know. You love yourself so much to know that, hey, I see my state now. I can change this. And because you love the self, you don't let anybody deter you from becoming your true greatest self. See? Feel that when you hear the bowl this morning. Let me get it. Start this out. making sure all the volumes are up. And this like that. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, Twitter, fanbase, Facebook, and YouTube. Thank you all for being here. Go through the weekend with a clearer image who and what you are. Okie dokie. You know my DMs are always open. If you have questions, concerns, suggestions, let me know, and I will be here to assist. Oh, All right. Yes, Twitter. I love you, and I will see y'all. Okay, Twitter. I don't even know what the lecture is for tonight. Your girl don't know. But let's sort that bad boy out, shall we? I'll see you tonight.